Hello again, Fencer fanatics. Welcome back to our firing range where we are testing all the weapon types in EDF 5. We're on to Fencer, his third and fourth column, which are the shields and the jumping items, which are very important this time around because the new movement speed for Fencer is dashing followed by a hop by this column right here where you take all these weapons give you a jump. So this column is very important. So anyway, let's get started on the shields. The Great Shield is back, and it is still very good. It's actually better this time around since they nerfed the Reflection Shield. But the Great Shield, this thing has 18.1k health. It takes 15 seconds to reload, which is always the negative of the Great Shield. But it now tells you what the degrees of coverage in front of you is. So this one covers you 170 degrees in front of you, so very, very wide. And it blocks 90% of the damage coming to you behind the shield, so pretty nice. The negative of the Great Shield is there's a penalty while you have it equipped, even if you're not holding it up. So your walking speed is lowered down to 70% while you have it lowered, and your turning speed is 50%. And then when you have it raised, your walking speed is cut down to 40%, and your turning is still 50%. And they also tell you the reflect rating as well on the shields, and this one has the best reflect rating, which is at 15 distance compared to the other ones. So very good shield, very good item this time around because of the auxiliary items that Fencer has now. So usually when you have a Great Shield, you will take shield items, and so you can increase the Great Shield to 800% health, and then also increase 60 more degrees in front of you as well coverage, so it'll cover you for 230 degrees in front of you, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then also the other shield item, which is level 78, usually you'll take, because this will reduce you from taking any damage behind the shield. This blocks 100% of the incoming damage with a shield, so very, very strong, which makes the Great Shield that much better, because it obviously doesn't affect the Reflect Shield very much, so therefore that's kind of another nerf to the Reflect Shield as well. So it's definitely recommended to take Great Shields, or shields in general, for like King Spiders and Queen Wasps even isn't bad to take it, rather than a Reflector this time around. So let's go ahead and take one of those. And then there's also another shield, which is the next one up, which is, I don't know what it's officially called, but it's a medium shield, I guess we'll call it. The special thing about this shield is it has no penalty while the shield is lowered. There's only a penalty for turning and moving when you have it held up, so that's very nice. So I almost like this shield better just for that reason alone, because you have no penalty when it's down. But still very good. This thing has 9,000 health. It has a 10-second reload instead of 15. It blocks in front of you for 109 degrees instead of the 170. And it blocks 80% of the incoming damage instead of the 90%. Like I said, there's no penalty when it's lowered, but when it's raised, you walk at 70% and you turn at 90%. So the turning is even pretty good on this shield when you have it held up, so not bad. And the reflect rating is 10 instead of 15. So we'll take one of those each. And we will take this on this mission here, 69, which has the King Spiders. And like I said, since you can increase the health of the Great Shield, it's a lot better to just take a Great Shield and fight a King Spider than it is to reflect it, because it takes a long time to kill the King Spider with the reflection for some reason now. So, and a way you can get around having the slow speed of the reflector, or with having a shield, you can take a blast twin spear, which will allow you to move very fast while you fire it, even though you don't have a dash to go along with your shield. So it allows you to have still fast movement with your shield. I feel bad doing this, honestly, but I want to have the king attack me. So like I said, with this, I mean, obviously you still want to, dodge left and right while you're fighting the King Spider with the Great Shield, but you can actually take a lot of the damage from the King Spider, and it's not a big deal. These silly little spiders are going to be annoying. So, as you can see, this is the turning normally without the shield held up, and when you have the shield held up, it's this slow. Okay. So the king should be starting to attack me now, here pretty soon. It's still attacking civilians, but I'm going to let it attack me. Unfortunately, the little ones might get behind me, and that's going to be the problem to deal with, but I really like taking, as you can see, I really like using the Great Shield to attack the King Spider, because you take hardly any damage. Well, you take 0 damage behind the shield, and your shield hardly takes damage with the Great Shield as well. As you can see, I still have 132,000 while I'm fighting this King Spider up close. So it's definitely a lot better to just fight King Spiders this way. Even taking a full-on blast right there, I only took about, what, 10,000 health off my shield? Not much at all. There's one behind me, I know. Oh, look at that. He couldn't even get me because of just how wide the coverage is with my shield. It's so good. But yeah, I think this is a better way to fight a King Spider. Because before, in the previous game, you used to be able to reflect the King Spider once, and you would kill it, which was absolutely ridiculous. Now it takes, I want to say when I tested it, it took, I don't know, 12 or 15 reflects for a regular brown spider. So, a lot different now. So, and it's a little bit more dangerous too. So I think it's just better to use the Great Shield. And there's also this shield, which has no penalty when you don't have it held up. But then when you have it held up, then there's a little bit of penalty for turning, but not too bad. So it really depends on what you want. Do you want 140,000 health with more penalty for turning? Or do you want 72,000, is that enough for your particular mission you're playing, and you have no penalty to turn, which is always nice. And same idea where, you know, because of the shield item, you're not going to take any damage behind the shield regardless, even though, you know, it says on the shield 80% you take, or you take 20 rather. But it doesn't really matter with that shield item. Let me attack this king here. And since I don't reflect too much, the reflect rating isn't a huge deal on the different shields. But yeah, I mean, the shield is so good now. You can notice the difference in how wide this shield is compared to the Great Shield. The Great Shield definitely is safer because of just how wide it is, the coverage, but this is still pretty good. As you can see, you know, look at all this. Look at all this web, and I'm at 56,000 health in my shield still. So let me go back here now to the other shields. There are still 2 more shields. So that's the new shield of this game, pretty much. I don't think that shield was in the previous 4.1. There was just the Great Shield, the Ion Shield, and then the Reflector Shield. So yeah, I think that's what that shield is called, the Reflector Shield. Actually, now that I think about it, because I don't know the Japanese language, but I think when I saw the translation, that's what it was. So now that there's also the Ion Shield. Now the special thing about the Ion Shield is there's no penalty when you have it held up, and no penalty when it's down. So if you want no penalty at all, this is the shield to go for. So for example, like if you're using a Hellflame revolver, there's a lot of kick on that revolver, and you can't have a shield held up while you're shooting the revolver, because it'll just push your reticle up into the air. You can't aim down, unless of course you take the recoil reduction item. But this allows you to use like the Hellflame revolver and not have to worry about recoil, and not taking a recoil item. So pretty nice. This thing has pretty good health too. I mean, 8,450 compared to the 9,000 for the Reflector Shield. The negative of this shield is, of course, the degrees in front of you of how much it covers is only 80%. You can increase that by 60% more with that item, which would bring it up to, what, 140? But still, that's a big difference compared to the 270 on this one. So it's a lot narrower in front of you coverage. It still does 80%, blocks 80% incoming damage to you, but the reload time is 8 seconds instead of the 10. Now I believe, if I'm not wrong, that the Ion Shield reloaded in 4 seconds. I don't know. On 4.1, I don't remember honestly, but it is nice to have a quick reload, 8 seconds. I'm thinking of the Reflector. I think is 4 seconds, but anyway. So less reload, less coverage in front of you, but no penalty. So it is nice once in a while to take. So I'll take one of those. And then there is the Reflector Shield. It's back as well, the level 68 and the level 27. It looks different, of course. Look at that. It's definitely interesting. The thing with this one is you're only going to be using this to reflect. You're never going to use it to block incoming damage. So it doesn't matter how much damage it blocks. It says it blocks 10% damage incoming, but it's not, like I said, it's not important. So this is mainly used to reflect only. It's got a quick reload, which is nice, 4 seconds, and it has a reflect rating of 10. So it's less than the Great Shield, even though it's a reflector, but definitely your best reflector shield because it reflects so fast, as I'll show here. So let's go ahead and take one of those. So the reflector isn't bad. I mean, you can still, like I said, you can use it on queen wasps pretty good. You can reflect back their stingers and stun them every shot, as long as you're fast enough. And also it's good on ant queens, of course, too. So this is how it looks when you hold it up. It's kind of cool looking. It's like a little piece of glass or something comes out, or like a little film, but you're not going to use it to reflect or to block. So it reflects really fast, as you can see right here. So you can constantly spam this against, you know, like say you're afraid to get hit by the queen wasp and your timing feels like you're not too good with the timing. You can always just, you know, constantly reflect, and you'll definitely hit the queen. But so it's not as good, but it still has uses. It's just not as good for spiders. So it's good on, you know, gold ants too if you're pretty good with your timing. But even like a brown spider, you can't even kill one shot with a reflector now, which is crazy. Okay, I'm not doing too well here. Let me restart. And this is the ion shield. You have no penalty when you have it down, and no penalty when you have it held up, which is nice. And still quite a bit of health. So I mean, it really depends on what you need. I really like having the no movement penalty, which is nice, but it's definitely a little bit more dangerous to use. But if you have one target, you know, it's not a big deal if you just have 80% coverage in front of you, because you can always stay in front of the enemy. And it is definitely nice having free movement, even with your blast hole spear, because even, you know, with the dash hop setup, you're still used to a little bit of penalty, because with the shotgun gives you a penalty, or the stampede gives you a penalty for equipping it. So it's nice having complete freedom of movement. Okay, let me try and reflect this king spider. Hopefully it'll actually come over here, because I want to have it just by itself. But you'll see how different it is to use a reflector. I need to not kill these spiders. There we go, I reflected it once, it's not dead. Reflected it twice. 3 times. 4 times. And you can see I'm not even reflecting all the web. I feel like it's a little narrower this time around. That's 5, 6, 7. Of course I'm playing offline too, so it's going to be less than online, but oh my goodness, I don't want to. It's 8, 9, 10. I might be dead here because of the second one here. Come on, quit jumping and shoot. Yeah, so anyway, so it's quite a bit. It's like around 15, I believe, to reflect back. But yeah, those are all the shields. I think there's use for each of them, honestly. And I think they did a good balance on them. I think the only thing they need to balance for the shields is the shield items. I think the 100% damage reduction, this level 78, I think is just way too broken. I think it needs 95% maxed, so you take 5% damage. Because having no worry about your health completely is absolutely ridiculous with the shield. So, but anyway, very good, the shields. Let's move on to the jumping weapons now. So, the movement in this game now is, like I said, you take a weapon to dash and a weapon to jump. So let's take a weapon to dash, doesn't really matter what I take. And then here's the jumping column. Let's start out here with the Hellflame Revolver. It has made it back. It does 11.1k DPS, very, very strong. And it has a 0.5 wind-up time, 0.5 seconds. So, very fast wind-up this time around. So you actually can use it by with your dash hopping now, which is cool. It has a 2.5 second reload, very fast reload, but unfortunately the range is still the same, 96 meters. So it does have a 1/5 fall off as well. At max range it does 1/5 the damage, so that's something to keep in mind, but you're probably not going to be at range too much with this thing. So let's take one of those, and then let's take what else? The Gatling, the FGX, or I'm in the wrong column here. The FGX, or FGZ rather, Gatling is back. It's pretty good. It does a 6.8k DPS. It has a 1.5 second windup and 11-second reload, though, unfortunately. That's always been the negative of the Gatling. And also another negative, which I don't really care for, is when you start shooting it, it kind of slows your aiming down until you let go of the trigger, which is unfortunate. That's one thing I don't really care for. It has a 360 meter range, and it does half the damage at max range. So let's take one of those. We're also going to need dash hopping items here. So 6 and 6. Alright, let's take a different mission this time. Let's take this mission, it's fine. Actually, no, that mission's not fine. Let's take old actually, we'll go underground, I guess. Alright, so now, like I said, there's actually a use to take the Gatling Hellflame revolver and still be mobile. So you can dash around with it and then start firing it. And you can still use it as you're running away from enemies. It is unfortunately you have to get used to the kick on this thing, but as you can see, I can jump around and still use it. So that's very nice. That's definitely very nice because it's such a strong weapon, and shooting through enemies as well with it. So takes a little bit getting used to, though, unfortunately. And you can't shoot it while you're dashing. You get to shoot it while you're hopping. So like if I just dash and try and use it, it'll have to rewind up every time I dash. But if you dash hop, you can start spinning up in the air. Mine's not maxed out though, so it is a little bit slow, but very, very strong weapon, and it is fun being able to use it now as a mobile setup. So, and you can always take the recoil item to where you have no recoil, and just take the other item that gives you 4 dashes and 3 hops on one item, and that'll allow you to not have to worry about recoil at all on this thing. So, very cool now. I'm very happy with that. And then the Gatling. So this is how you turn with the Gatling equipped, but when you start firing it up and it starts firing, this is how fast and it kind of has sway to it. Like if you let go of the analog, it still sways a little bit for you. So that's one thing I never liked for the Gatling. I wish they would get rid of that, because quite honestly, I think there's no need for it. The sway, so you have to get used to it. It's pretty much just something to get used to. And also the problem is when you're dashing in the air like this, when you're dashing through the air, you have to rewind up the gun. Your turning is really fast until it starts shooting, and then it starts swaying again. So it's very, very, very weird to get used to. I don't know. I guess you can get used to it, but you have to practice with it a little bit to feel comfortable with it, I think. I really don't care for that aspect of it, but strong weapon, good range, and once again, you can't wind it up while you're dashing. So when you dash, it resets your wind up time. So you have to wait the 1.5 seconds again to start firing it. So. Alright, let's go ahead and go back. I think mine was not leveled up well at all. Let's see what I had it leveled up to, the Gatling. Yeah, mine's 2.4 second wind up. It felt like it was pretty long. But yeah, that's what's crazy about this game. I have... how many hours? I have 702 hours in this game, and I'm still needing to level up my weapons. Which is fine, because I like it, because I'm looking forward to weapon drops still. So I'm happy with that. And I haven't really grinded... I mean, I grind weapons here and there, but not, like, consistently. So I'm sure if you really wanted to get your weapons up fast and quickly, you could. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. The next one we're going to cover is the shotgun. Now, the shotgun is, unfortunately, not very strong on Inferno. It's good on hardest. It's good on hard, it's good on normal. All the lower shotguns are fine. It's just... this one's not quite enough damage, in my opinion, to play on Inferno, at least the higher level Inferno missions. Because that's unfortunate. I like the shotgun a lot, but there is a DLC shotgun, so that's good news, at least. But anyway, this shotgun does, let's see, it does 13.6k DPS, but that's, of course, up close. So it's got good damage up close, but at range is pretty bad. It's 4.5 second reload, 264 meter range, but the shotguns always have, or not always, but mostly have a 1/10 damage fall off, so at max range it does 1/10 the damage. So that means it does 13k DPS. No, it does 1.3k DPS at range, so very noticeable, but if you're fighting up close, it's okay. So let's take one of those. And then there's also the disruptor is back, and there is 3 versions of this disruptor. There's level 76, level 62, and level 23. So this one does how much? It does 10.9k DPS, and you can't reload these weapons, unfortunately. So 10.9k DPS is okay. It's the same as the Hellflame. It does a total of 328,000 damage if you use the whole magazine, and it has a 180 meter range with no fall off. So that is pretty nice. So let's take one of those. The level 62 disruptor does 6.1k DPS, and the level 23 does 2.7k DPS. So pretty good for their levels. Let's see. Did I take the right? Yeah, I took the right one. And then let's take and there's this weapon, the Galleon Armor Gun. So unfortunately this weapon no longer penetrates through targets. So that's unfortunate. I wish it did. I don't understand why they took that away, because it's not like it's overpowered or very strong, unfortunately. It does 2.5k DPS, which is pretty low, especially on Inferno. 4-second reload and 600 meter range. And it does half damage at max range. So I think if they would have made it penetrate through targets, it would have more use. But as it is, 2.5k DPS is not good on Inferno. It's fine on hardest, but Inferno it's way too low. So I wish they would have adjusted that a little bit. So let's take one of those. Let's use a mission outside for this, I guess. So that's unfortunate, because I always like the armor piercer, but it's just not strong enough. And I'm not kind of confused at the damage numbers for the Galleon Armor Gun and also for the shotgun. It seems too low. And I mean, because they don't give you a better version of it, so it's kind of cool as it shoots very straight, very accurate, but very weak because it hits one target at a time. So it's unfortunate. I mean, it's going to work fine offline, and it's going to work fine on lower level missions, you know, on lower mission levels, I mean, but for higher mission levels, it's going to be tough to use. It's got good range, you know, of course. And then there's the disruptor. So the thing with this disruptor is, once you start firing it, it fires. It keeps firing, so you have to change weapons to stop it. But it's good if you need, you know, high burst damage on one target and you don't have to worry about reloading. I mean, it lasts a pretty long time. 180 meter range, and you can dash off with it while it's going. It doesn't really kick you back or anything, or kick you around, so that's nice. Like I said, if you switch weapons, it'll stop, so that's nice. But yeah, it's pretty much if you need 328,000 damage pretty fast, then this would be a good weapon to take. But it's more of a, you know, special situations you would take it, because you can't reload it. So yeah, those are those two weapons. Can't say I use this fast machine gun too often. I mean, it's not terrible, I guess. I mean, you have to remember that if you're not using DLC weapons, because you can't use DLC weapons on the campaign unless you have limits off. So considering that, it's not terrible damage, but it's very average at best. Because the best DPS is the Gatling, I guess, at, what is it, 6.8k DPS, the 360 meter range. So this thing does half that, and it's more accurate, more easy to use. But yeah, I just wish it was a little bit more damage, and it pierced 2 targets. All right, the level 68 Galleon Rapid Gun is back as well this time, and it's very strong, actually. It's only level 68, but it does 5.1k DPS. So very strong for hardest, and I don't know if you can use it on hard on the higher missions, but on hardest for sure. And on Inferno, it's pretty decent. The only thing bad about it is the reload time. It's 7.7 seconds. It has a good range, 487 meters, and it's only half the damage at max range, so half damage fall off. So let's take one of those. And then what else? And there's also a Galleon 3-round burst. I guess is something a little different to show. Level 57. This thing does 3.1k DPS, 6.7 second reload, 425 meter range, and half damage fall off at max range. So So those are the last two in this column to show. So the thing with Fencer, as I mentioned in a previous video, is he's very similar to 4.1 and 2025's weapon-wise, but he feels different, and you can't really tell until you actually play it yourself, but he feels very different because of his new movement setup, his dash hop setup. So, you know, just being able to do this dash and hop around with these weapons, the weapons that actually allow you to jump. Like, I personally never used the hopping weapons much in 4.1 and in 2025 because it's so valuable to be mobile that I used to use the catapult and used weapons that have a dash on it. So now it's nice being opened up to being able to use these weapons and still be mobile. It feels very different, and just getting good at going through the air, you know, dashing around buildings and being more accurate and trying to be accurate with your weapons while you're jumping and dashing through the air is very fun and very fun to get good at and to practice. So he feels very different as a class as a whole, and that's why I'm very happy with Fencer, even though they didn't change much with weapons. So yeah, this Galleon Rapid Gun is very good. I took this a lot on Inferno. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably one of his better weapons for Inferno, even though it's level 68. It's just, you know, unfortunately the reload time for the gun, but you know, you can stay mobile while you're doing that the whole time, and you can use your other weapon while you're waiting for the reload, so it's not a huge deal. And then he has the 3-round burst one, which is very strong for the level. So if you're ever playing on hardest with limits, this is definitely a good, strong weapon. It's just the 3-round burst, which I never really care for the 3-round burst weapons, but it's fine, you know. Just have to be a little more accurate with it. But yeah, those are all of Fencer's weapons. Let's go back and look at the overview here of these weapons. Great Shield is amazing this time. I definitely recommend trying it out on missions. It's amazing how valuable the shield is for mission. The only thing you're going to struggle with for using the shield is if you're fighting wasps or fighting tadpoles or any enemy that can get behind you and attack you while you're slow with the shield is a threat. But if you have the ability to stay behind enemies and use a shield, it's super strong this time around, especially with the shield items. It's very cool. Let's look at the weapons here in this column. I'm almost always taking a weapon from this column just because it's involved in the speed setup. So I've been enjoying the Hellflame Revolver. Never thought I would be able to take that as a speed setup, but it's very good. But primarily I usually take, I don't know, I like Shotgun a lot, even though it's a little bit weak. And I like the Galleon armor. I like the Galleon rapid fire one. I take that one a lot on Inferno. And the Gatling isn't bad if you can get used to the sway. It's hard to explain in the video, but you have to try it out yourself and see how it feels and if you like it or not. But I wish I'd get rid of that sway. But yeah, pretty good. It's pretty nice being able to use this column almost regularly, so pretty exciting. And then the shield column is very useful as well. So yeah, that'll conclude these two columns. Next time we're going to be going on to the heavy weapons, which also are useful this time around because of the fact that some of them you can jump with, and other ones you can reduce the sway and the kick with some items, so pretty cool. And then we'll also cover the missiles. So once again, thanks a lot for watching, and remember, EDF doesn't leave a man behind, ever. And also, if you like the channel and like to support it, please consider liking and subscribing, as that does make a difference and it does support the channel. So thanks a lot.